with Tarrant Small Business Development Center. And today we have a very important topic to talk to you, our small business owners, about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a topic that needs your attention. And because of that, we have with us a guest. I actually have two. I have with us again Cindy Largent. She is another CARES Act business advisor who's going to lead our discussion about cybersecurity and why it's important for small businesses. Cindy, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Catherine. How about yourself?
Fantastic. It's Wednesday. That means it's hump day. It means soon it'll be the weekend and the holidays. So, today's topic is cybersecurity. Can you share with us what we're going to talk about today?
Cybersecurity is so important for our small businesses because, cyber criminals, they don't discriminate. They don't look to see what size your business is, what you might or might not have. We always hear in the news about ransomware and, people, computer systems being held hostage. And sometimes our small businesses don't realize they're as much of a target as our large companies and corporations. So this is a topic that is so important for us to get information out there. And of course, today we're just going to present some of the basics. And so we just know that this is so important for them to at least have some knowledge to start taking some precautions to protect themselves.
Awesome. Well, I believe we have another small business guest. Let me bring in our subject matter expert for today. Hey, David, how are you today?
Hey, good. How are you guys doing? It's good to see
Well,
you.
thank you for joining. So, for those of us joining today, we have with us David Santure. He is the CEO and owner of Cyber Shepherds. So, thank you for participating in today's live.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, good morning, David.
No, good morning.
I know this is a topic that you really, of course, have embraced, hence the reason for your company. And so we're so excited to have you to give us some more in-depth information. So I kind of would like to start at the very beginning. And what is cybersecurity and why is it important for our small businesses to know that?
Okay, so cybersecurity is really twofold. It's first the prevention of unauthorized access to all things digital for your business. So you don't want anybody accessing things that you don't want them to. And then the second part of that is just ensuring the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of your business's information. So those are the two parts.
Well, great. And then what are some of the common risks that are out there that our small businesses can face?
So the three main things that are the biggest threat and the most common that I come across all the time is phishing, which comes in the form of email as well as over the phone, which is called voice phishing. Ransomware, which has been in the news a whole lot for, a whole lot of companies. And then data loss, which can fall under the ransomware category, but data loss can come in many forms, such as employee sabotage, which is quite rare. I've seen it only a small handful of times, but mainly just accidental deletion. The amount of times I have people call in like, hey, we don't know what happened to this file. I think we accidentally deleted it. And no problem. I'll go find it. That's very common.
So with phishing, can you kind of go in depth and then what measures can companies, some small businesses put in place to protect themselves from phishing?
Yeah, so phishing, and I think that you both have probably experienced that, and as well as probably really any business, is where a hacker or somebody sends you an email that looks legitimate, but in actuality it has maybe a virus embedded in it or a Trojan or possibly ransomware that you click on it and then it infects your system. But phishing is the practice of, just like in real fishing, you kind of cast a net and then see what you catch. And unfortunately, a lot of people click on things they're not supposed to. You can help fix that by having a spam filter, which most email systems or all email systems have some sort of built-in spam, but there are advanced spam filters. Like my business personally uses Proofpoint. I highly recommend Proofpoint. But really the biggest thing to help with phishing is end user education, because even the most advanced spam filters, some stuff still gets through. And so just teaching your employees, like, hey, if it looks suspicious, don't click on it. Reach out to your IT department or whoever handles that. Better be safe than sorry.
Because they're very clever. And I mean, they're pretty sophisticated where you're not kidding. They make it really look like the real deal. Like this is something that's very legitimate. And so, yeah. So education, of course, so important, because the more aware that employees are, or even owners that don't have employees, the more aware they are of what's coming through, the better the results will be for them to be protected from those. And number two, what's our number two?
Ransomware, in terms of threats, you see that all over the news right now, and it is everywhere, and it can definitely sink a business. I've seen businesses close because they couldn't pay it, and they didn't have the needed infrastructure in place to fix it on their own. So it can legitimately put you out of business, unfortunately. And in terms of combating that, the main thing is to have the correct backup infrastructure in place. So backups are absolutely critical. That's your lifeline to your business. So that's the number one thing to have in place.
And, I have a friend who runs a daycare center. So she's got a small daycare center in Dallas. And she called me a month ago and said that, they went to go turn on the server in the morning to log in. And lo and behold, they had a message and they had to pay to get their data back. And fortunately for them, they had a great IT person that had been working with them already, and they were able to restore from a backup. So important to understand the whole process of backing up and where to put those backup files so that you can restore, and just to be careful with that. Hey, Catherine.
Hey, I wanted to ask just a quick question when it comes to ransomware. How does that happen to a small business? Could you just briefly address, how those threats can cripple a small business?
So like how they get ransomware, or okay. So mainly through phishing. That comes through the email. So you click on a link and then it begins the process. Very rarely, and the very experienced hackers will gain access to your network without your knowledge and just start basically copying all your files, but you don't know they're there. And so then they'll gather all of your information and then themselves just send out the ransomware to your system, and then it's locked up. And so then they say, hey, not only if you don't pay, we already have the information. So I've seen this with the law firm. So highly sensitive information. If you don't pay up, we're just going to start releasing all your client data because we already have it. So that's another huge issue as well. That's a pretty big threat. But also when it comes to ransomware and really threats in general with small businesses, the thing that I hear the most is, oh, we're too small to pay that kind of ransom, or we're too small to be a target. But that's actually far from the truth, because statistically, the vast majority of these ransomware attacks aren't these big oil companies that you see in the news. It's small to medium-sized businesses. And in fact, I have some data from my vendor, Pax8, who's a huge cloud provider. Their data as recent as 2018, of all the businesses that they manage and support, which is a lot, 67% of those small to medium businesses experienced a cyber attack in 2018. And 58% of all of those were considered a small business.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And, David, I mean, that's the thing that we want to stress the most, is for nobody to feel like that they're so small that they're not at risk, or that their company isn't of great value, so they're not at risk. That is not the case. That's not what these people are actually after. They're taking your information hostage as far as ransomware goes. And as you said, especially with law firms or financial institutions or anything like that, if you have sensitive data, then they have the ability to publish it. And so some serious things to consider for our small business. Let's talk about data loss. What happens with data loss?
So data loss is going to be your most common risk to your business, and ransomware can kind of fall under that category. But like I said earlier, the accidental deletion is quite common. I think we've all probably done it at least once. And so it's easy to fix if you have a server in place with, shadow copies or, your backups, and, that's a 30-second correction to fix. But for a lot of businesses, that's not the case, especially if you have all your information on one device, say a laptop. I highly discourage that because laptops get stolen, lost, and broken all the time. So it's very easy to lose data if you only have it on one device. So redundancy is key, and then also having a central repository, as in a server, helps mitigate that.
What about the cloud? Is that a good place to put your backup files?
So cloud is, in general, pretty secure. There are attacks that happen, but in general, cloud's good, but you don't want to have everything in the cloud. For instance, how my business operates, we do have cloud backups, but then keep physical backups offsite for the client. So as I said, redundancy is key. So never trust just one solution, have multiple.
And I think that education and just really getting the word out to our small businesses that they really can protect themselves without a high degree of cost. Because, for a small business, cost is always, and you're a small business owner as well. So, cost is always something that you're concerned about, but you have to weigh those costs with of what you're protecting in your business. And so I think that's really important as well for our small business owners to really take the time to consider what the actual cost is, because you really don't want to sustain any type of what we talked about. And then there's more stuff that's more sophisticated that we're not going to get into, because this, of course, is basic. And we want to encourage our small businesses to really start taking those steps, of making sure that their employees are educated, that they know what a good email is. Don't click it just because you got it and it looks legitimate from the header. Be careful on what you're clicking, what to be looking for. Maybe have, if the resources are there, have a company like yours that is helping them, come up with ways to be better educated and be aware of certain scams that are going on, because we all know that, you kind of see a wave of something coming in and then, then here comes the next one. So, we know about those, and just making sure those pieces of the puzzle are in place of the different levels of security, because when you're connecting to the internet, you have a router, and you need to make sure you have something on that router that's also helping. So there's levels of security, which, like I said, we didn't even talk about all those things, but there's things that our small businesses, there's measures that our small businesses can put in place to make sure, and passwords and all those other kind of things that are different layers of security that are going to help protect. And so it's just so important that we continue to, educate our small businesses, have information, put information out there, and companies like yours that are small business, that cater to small businesses, that can really help supplement what they're getting from, maybe online, of what they're reading, and, wherever they're getting that education resource from, to really help protect them. So, we want to stress that making sure that they're aware of what's going on in their digital space, that they have redundancy, that they have their data, whether it be a mirrored drive or, an offsite backup, whatever that is, to help also if they were a victim of a cybercrime, that then they can mitigate that better and not have such a loss of data or, be at the mercy of somebody to get their data back. So thank you so much for, giving us all that information. Is there anything else, David, that you want to share with us before we end our session?
Sure. Yeah, there's a whole time flew by because there's, hours I could talk on the subject. Real quick, passwords, like you said, people do have weak passwords. I've seen, 5-letter long passwords. So have have a good password that helps prevent brute force programs just guessing the password. There was one more thing that you talked about.
I talked about router security.
Yeah, so having an advanced firewall, there's new firewalls that have active intrusion prevention. So it won't just say, hey, somebody's in here. It'll actually fight potential intrusions. Now, you do have to spend more money on that, which then goes to what you said in terms of cost. Recently, I saw the average cost to hire an employee. So if you were to hire somebody like me, the average national cost is over $80,000 just for the salary now. So people think, oh, hey, services for businesses like myself, yeah, it looks expensive on paper, but if you want to hire just one employee, you're already going to pay much more just to pay for benefits and the salary of that employee. And then you only have the one employee instead of a whole host of resources within a company like mine.
Catherine, we can't hear you.
Thanks for that. I do have one question because we are specifically CARES Act business advisors. And in this last year, we were here to help small businesses navigate through COVID, business closures, business adjustments on how they service their clients. When we talk about the common risks of phishing, ransomware, and data loss, when we had people working from home for companies, do you think these common risks were the top tier ones that businesses incurred during COVID?
Oh, absolutely. Those are week in and week out. Those are the most common that I see and have seen for years. So those three things, no matter the size, those are constantly the biggest three issues.
Awesome. Cindy?
Well, I think that wraps it up. Of course, as David said, there's so much information that we can share on this topic. But on this platform, this is just to start giving you some of the basics and start giving our small businesses at least some basic measures that they can start putting in place if they don't already have them in place to really help mitigate that risk, to reduce that risk of a cyber attack. Because, to come back after you've already been the victim, to restore everything is actually going to be a lot more costly. You're going to lose time to be able to function as a business. And so, and the environment is such that we're spending so much more time on our computers. As you said, Catherine, we still have a lot of people who are working from home. Data's crossing, not just internal networks, they're going out. And so it just opens our small businesses up to more. So, of course, as David said, our time went by so fast. There's so much more we can talk about, but we want our businesses to start taking measures to really protect themselves. And of course, as business advisors, we are here to help, our small businesses look at their overall strategies that they have in place and help them with any business needs that they have.
Perfect. Well, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you, David, for taking time out of your business to be with us today and share the top 3 common risks small businesses are incurring today and continue to need to overcome and pay attention to. So for those who are listening, we had David Santure, CEO of Cyber Shepherds, who took some time out to share with us some top common risks. Thanks, David.
No problem. Anytime. And thank you guys for having me on. It was fun.
Bye,
Excellent.
David.
Bye.
And Cindy, thank you for taking time out of your schedule for putting this together. It's an important topic for our small business owners as we reach the holiday season, because they need to go ahead and look to be careful, because phishing, ransomware, and data loss is happening at a clip that many small businesses are just not putting some more time and attention to.
Right. Right. And it's just, Catherine, our small business owners, they're so busy running their businesses. And as I said, a lot of them just don't think they're important enough for somebody to really care to, unfortunately, disrupt their business. So, thank you for hosting and for also assisting us in bringing this really important topic, to our small business owners.
Well, thank you very much. So that we'll talk to you later, Cindy. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. And then we want to thank you for joining us today. If you need any assistance with your business, remember, you can always reach out and call us at 817-515-2600. And then also you can go to our website at tarrantsmallbusiness.org. We also appreciate it if you would follow us on our social platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Our handle at all of those channels is at Tarrant SBDC. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the fields below, and we'll reach out and give you some answers. But please remember, you do have access to us via the phone, 817-515-2600, as well as our website at www.tarrantsbdc.org. Thank you so much, and we hope you have a great day.